Hello, so in this video I wanted to talk about the books I went to read in the month of May. So May is my birthday month, so every single year I really just focus on what is going to bring me the most joy. I tend to read on a whim, but coincidentally this is the month where a lot of my anticipated reads are actually dropping this month, and I was lucky enough. Some of my pre-orders came in early, some I got ARCs for, so I'm really excited just to dive in and to get the ball rolling with my reading. So it is May 1st as I'm recording this. I'm currently in the middle of reading The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson, and ideally I would like to read the first three as book 4 is coming out later this year. If I don't get to all 3 this month, that's okay. I will definitely be finishing up book 1. And hopefully moving in a little bit into book 2 as the month goes on, but currently in the middle of The Alloy of Law. These, of course, are rereads for me as book 4 comes out. I have a friend who hasn't read, she just finished the first generation of Mistborn, so she is now reading these for the first time, so I wanted to read them at the same time as her, so I'll probably go along her pace so we can talk about it as we read, because that's always kind of fun. So the rest of what you're going to see is just books that I'm in the mood for. I'm going to leave them on the shelf that I can kind of pick up as the month goes and choose from. First, I am in the middle of Persuasion by Jane Austen. This I am rereading early this year just because there is a Netflix movie adaptation that's coming out. I think it's starring Dakota Johnson. We're just gonna hope and pray this is a better adaptation than the previous Persuasion's movie adaptation. We can only pray for that, but it's a very short Jane Austen. I think it's one of her shortest ones. Maybe Northanger Abbey's a little bit shorter, but Persuasion I'll be able to blow through in no time. But that is on the docket. I did start it, so it's kicking around here somewhere. Next, I would like to start Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is a big boy. This is a very exciting trilogy. I've heard so many good things about the Live Ship Traders trilogy. I really loved the first trilogy that I read last year. I fell in love with Fitz. I fell in love with The Fool. I'm really excited to go back into this world. I know this isn't following the same characters as the Farseer trilogy, but it does take place within the same world. I know there's a long list after this trilogy of who we get to follow in different stories, so I'm really excited, but I've just heard so many good things about this. I'm hoping to start this more towards the end of May as the month gets warmer. I can go down by the ocean and read about pirates and all that entails. I think that would be really fun. I'm not expecting to finish this in the month of May, as it tends to go with Robin Hobb's books, and this is about 900 pages. I tend to read them at a slower pace. She generally has more intensive writing style, very slow paced writing, heavily character focused, a lot of description, so I do take my time with their writing. So this is definitely one. I'm going in a little bit blind. I don't know anything about it, but I would like to keep it that way. Next, I have The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I picked this up last month, but you can see I got about that far into it. I just wasn't connecting with it. I think it was because we had so many rainy days, and where I was picking this up, everyone was outside, and John Gwynne does a really great job of making you feel really immersed in the world. So I think there was just a disconnect there. So I'll pick it back up when it's a little sunnier out, but I'm really excited about this Norse-inspired fantasy that John Gwynne created. I read the ARC, Shadow of the Gods, this time last year, so I was happy to see that John Gwynne is keeping up their insane writing pace and released Hunger of the Gods early this year. So this is what I'm definitely looking forward to. This series and John Gwynne's writing in general absolutely flies, so I know once I get into the mood of reading this, I'm gonna absolutely fly through this one. Next, I have the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I don't really know what this is about, if I'm being honest. This was a bit of a TikTok trend, is my understanding, but I picked it up when it was independently published on my e-reader, and then the reviews started rolling in that it definitely could have used an editor, and lo and behold, a very short time later, after it blew up on the internet, it was published and revised, is my understanding. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into this and see what this is all about. They do have these really cool illustrations throughout it as well. So this will be kind of a really nice book, I think, for those rainier days that inevitably we're gonna have on the coast in May. So I think this is gonna be a really good one. It's seeming just like the tags of it being the Alexandrian Society, Knowledge is Carnage. Maybe there's going to be some dark academia vibes in this, as well as the fantasy. So I'm excited to see where this goes. So the next three are big anticipated releases I have for the month of May. And I was lucky enough, like I said, to get my hands on a lot of them earlier. Pre-orders just coming in early, or the book being released in my store early. So first we have The Book of Night by Holly Black. This is one I know absolutely nothing about. I just know it is their first adult release. And I mean, I loved the Cruel Prince series. I had a really great time with it. So of course I was going to support the author. When this came in early, I was very, very happy, but that's really all I know about it, is that it's just an author. I enjoyed their work before, and this is their first like kind of foray into adult fantasy. All I really know is we're following a young woman named Charlie as they are a thief, and they steal something called the Book of Night that I think unlocks magic or something like that. I'm not too sure. Anyways, everybody's trying to steal it from her, and she's like a master thief. I'm very excited about it. Next we have Elektra by Jennifer Saint. This is the author of Ariadne, which I read last year and really, really, really enjoyed. Jennifer Saint has a way of just writing retellings of old mythology, but refocusing it on the important women that sometimes have a tendency to get left out, like Ariadne. This is one we're following 3 women in this one, as she takes old mythology and turns it on its head. I'm excited for this one. This is the retelling of the Battle of Troy, which is one I think we're all familiar with. So I'm interested to see just how she's going to not necessarily reimagine, because she doesn't do that. She just kind of refocuses her lens elsewhere from how we're used to the stories being told. So I'm excited to see how she does that for this one, which in the traditional sort of mythos, it does center around women a lot, but it is always told through the male gaze. So I'm interested to see through the female gaze just how the story is going to be told. And last but not least, it's one of my most anticipated, like probably up there in like the top 2 or top 3. We have Seasonal Fears by Seanan McGuire. I absolutely love Seanan McGuire anyway, but I reread Middle Game last month in anticipation of this release. And when it hit the store early, I couldn't believe my luck. I picked it up right away, and I am so excited to read this one. This is a world in which it heavily centers on alchemy and sort of the end of times. At least that's what Middle Game did. I know nothing going into this one, and that's sort of what I wanted. Because I went into Middle Game blind, I was just really in love with the cover when I saw it and picked it up back in 2019. And it was really to my benefit because I was taken on such a crazy ride with Roger and Dodger in that one. I wanted to have a similar experience when I went into Seasonal Fears. So I don't know if we're following twins in this one. I don't know if it's still, my understanding is we're not following Roger and Dodger. Just by the little announcement that Shauna Maguire made when she first announced Seasonal Fears, was that it's in the same world, but we're not necessarily following Roger and Dodger. But even if we are, I'm excited for that as well. I have the utmost faith in Shauna Maguire and their writing, that there's a story to be told, and I'm going to go on a wild ride with them as they tell us that story. So this is one I'm definitely going to make room for in the month of May. So that is everything I have on my list as of now. Sort of like always, as it tends to go, I'll say what I want to read and I'll read about half of what's on there and then wind up reading stuff that's totally different. But for now, I feel like that is my truth. That is what I want to read. I just want to pick up what feels good. I'm turning 29 this year. I'm very excited about it. I have a couple of birthday plans. But in terms of reading, I just want to have fun this month. And I'm so happy that so many of my anticipated releases just happen to come out in my birthday month. That's very exciting for me. But that's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.